Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make cocoa brownies, and this is what they look like. These brownies have a wonderful chocolate flavor, and the texture is soft and moist, just a little bit of chew. I have added some chopped nuts today. You could leave those out, or you could add some chocolate chips as well. So the first thing that you will need to do is to preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 165 degrees Celsius. And then you will need an 8-inch square pan that's 20 centimeters. I've lined my pan with foil today, and you want to go down the bottom and up the sides and have a little bit of a lip so that you can, when the brownies are done, we can just kind of lift them out of the pan. If you don't want to use foil, you could use parchment paper. And then I like to I'm going to butter my pan, or you could just spray it with one of those nonstick sprays. So what I do typically is just melt a little bit of butter, and then with a pastry brush, just brush. And that way the brownies won't stick to either your paper oil or the foil. What's great too is when you line your pan like this, your pan doesn't get dirty, so cleanup is easy, which is nice. Okay, so now, if you want to use chopped nuts in your brownies, you don't have to, like I said, but if you do, I like to toast them first. So what you want to do is you will need 1 cup, which is 100 grams of either pecans, or you could use walnuts or hazelnuts. Just put them on a baking sheet and bake them for about 8-10 minutes, or really just until you start to smell them, and then let them cool and then coarsely chop. I'm using pecans today, so that's what you want to do. Like I said, you can just leave them out if you don't want that. So brownies, really easy. I don't pull out the mixer for this. I just mix the batter in a large bowl. If you want, you could have a hand mixer, or you could use your electric stand mixer. The first thing that you will need to do is to melt 10 tablespoons, which is 140 grams of butter. I've already done that. You could do it, I did mine on the stove. You could do it in the microwave. So just pour that right in here. You can use salted or unsalted butter, whatever you want. And then, of course, cocoa brownies, we're using unsweetened cocoa powder. So you will need 3/4 cup, 75 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. Now there's 2 types of cocoa powder. There's the Dutch processed and just the natural unsweetened. You know, I decided this time, because normally I use Dutch processed, but I thought, I want to try I actually made them twice. I made them once with the Dutch process and once with the natural and sweetened. I like them both. I mean, there's a little bit of difference, but if you ask me to choose, I really can't, because I like them both. So if you want to do a little experiment, you could. So today I am using the natural unsweetened. So I'm just going to dump that right into the butter. And then we will need 1 1/4 cups, 250 grams of granulated white sugar. It may sound like a lot, but we're using a lot of cocoa powder, and cocoa powder's bitter. So we need sugar to offset that. So now I'm just using a wire whisk. Whisk that together. It's going to be a little grainy in texture because of that sugar, but it will smooth out once we add the eggs, so don't worry about that. That's normal. Like I said, if you want to use a hand mixer, you could. Okay. And I am adding 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract. If you don't want the vanilla flavor, just leave that out. And then you will need 2 large eggs. Have your eggs at room temperature. 2 large eggs out of the shell is 100 grams. So I'm just going to add 1. See if I can do that. And whisk that in. And then the other one. Now you want to whisk this a bit. You want to whisk it until it gets nice and smooth and shiny. Yes, your arm gets a bit of a workout when you're doing this, but I think that's a good thing. Okay, so this is what we're looking for. A nice shine to it. Everything's mixed together. It's nice and thick. My arm's sore. I can kind of tell that I've beaten enough or whisked enough when my arm gets really sore. So now, in a separate bowl, I have a half a cup, which is 65 grams of all-purpose flour, plain flour. To that, I'm adding just a quarter of a teaspoon, 1 gram of baking powder. That'll give our brownies a little bit of lift. Roll that out. And a quarter of a teaspoon, 1 gram. I'm using a fine kosher salt. You could just use a table salt, sea salt. And mix that together. If you wanted a little coffee flavor, you could add, you know, a couple teaspoons of instant coffee or instant espresso powder in here, if you so choose. So I'm going to go over to my spatula here. Add that. And then we're going to add, it's a little different, but we're going to add a quarter of a cup, which is 60 grams of, I'm using full fat sour cream. That's going to contribute a really nice moist texture to our brownie. You could use a plain yogurt and have that at room temperature, of course. So I'll just dump that in there. I know some people have asked whether they can leave the sour cream or the yogurt out. You could, but just keep in mind your brownie is not going to be as moist as if you used it. So I got that, and then I'm going to add my 1 cup, 100 grams of chopped nuts. Like I said, you can just leave them out, or you could put like maybe a half a cup, 85 grams of, you know, either a semi-sweet, a bittersweet, a white chocolate chip, milk chocolate chips. That's another choice. You could use some dried fruit. Cherries or cranberries or raisins. You can, you know, I used to just like my brownies plain. Then I started adding chocolate chips, and I like that. Now I've switched over to liking pecans. So that's our brownie batter. This is probably one of the easiest things to make if you have a chocolate craving. Easy to mix it up. They're done in no time, and so I'll just dump that right in there. And these freeze really well, so you can have a stash in the freezer. Because I'll eat them frozen right out of the freezer. Why not? Okay, and then back of a spoon, offset spatula, just even it out. Get to the corners. Okay, that looks good. So, for baking, everyone's oven is a little different. I'm going to say 28 to 30 minutes, or until when you put a toothpick into the center, it'll come out. You don't want it to come out clean. You want it to still have batter clinging to it, a little batter clinging to it. If it comes out clean, sometimes then your brownies taste a little dry, which we don't want. So I'm going to say 28 to 30 minutes. But, you know, I would check them at around the 25 mark just to make sure, because you don't want to overbake. Okay. So our cocoa brownies are done. So put your pan on a wire rack. And as you can see, when I did it, the toothpick test, there's some batter clinging to it. It's set, but the center is still, you know, a little soft. So I'm just going to let them cool down to room temperature. And then when we come back, we will try one. So I let the brownies cool down to room temperature. So now just peel back your foil. I put it on a cutting board and large knife. You can cut them as big or as small as you want. And I usually have a paper towel and wipe in between cuts. Okay. And then I'll just cut a little piece for myself to try. If you put them in the refrigerator for a little bit, they'll firm up. These are still really soft, which I like. Oh. They're wonderful. You know, the cocoa powder gives it a really wonderful chocolate flavor. I'll just keep eating. They're soft, they're moist. I like the crunch of the pecans. Like I said, sometimes I put chocolate chips. They're good too. Sometimes I have them plain. And you can eat them just like this. You could have them serve them as a plated dessert with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. That's really good, even with some chocolate sauce over the top. They are. And if you want the more dense texture, these are quite soft, almost cake-like, a little bit of chew. If you want them more dense, just store them in the refrigerator and they'll really firm up. So you can store them a few days, either, like I said, in the refrigerator. If you like them soft, you can store them at room temperature. They freeze really well. And if you like, you can make brownies different ways. Today, I showed you how to make them with unsweetened cocoa powder. There's also brownies with unsweetened just chocolate, some with semi-sweet or bittersweet chocolate. So you can go to thejoyofbaking.com, either our website or our YouTube channel, and I have lots of different brownie recipes. And then I have like turtle brownies, I have cream cheese brownies. So if you're a brownie fan, check it out. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyofbaking.com.